Welcome to the Family Electric Ghost Show. We are recording. Hi, Effy.
Hello, you right?
Yeah, so glad to have you on again.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So yeah, again, this is our second interview. We're Family Electric Ghost. We interview indie artists from around the world, and we're glad to have you back on the show.
Mm-hmm.
So we see you've put out some another song since the last time we talked.
Yeah.
Is the new track, is it called Twice?
Yes, it is.
So maybe we'll probably focus on your new song and maybe everything that happened since the last time we talked to you.
Okay.
So how did Twice come about? Was this scheduled, or did you come up with it since the last time we talked? Is it something that you already had planned, or maybe get in the details maybe?
Okay, so Twice probably came about last December actually. That's when I had the idea for it. And then basically wrote the song to a backing track, and then got a producer that I worked with. He was working on some beats and stuff. Got him to kind of work on it and see what he could do with it. And then he came up with some of the production. And then I also sent it over to my producer in Newcastle, and she finished the rest off. And yeah, that's basically how it came about. And it was about a personal experience and stuff. So it just flowed out when I wrote it.
So you had the top line, and you work with producers to kind of craft it.
Yes.
Between the two producers.
Mm-hmm.
Did the different producers have different parts of the song that they worked on, more rhythmic sections or melodic sections, or they just worked on the whole piece?
Yeah, so Alex was the producer that I used first, and he initially came up with the beat and everything. He is more of a kind of hip hop producer. But then I asked the producer in Newcastle who did my last single, Let's Go Back, to make it sound familiar, use familiar sounds to make it all be kind of consistent sounding. So so she added all the melody stuff over the top of it. So yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah. Because I've worked with it's interesting when you're an artist and you get that input, because it's kind of like when you're in a band. I'm a solo artist, but I'm a singer-songwriter with all my modes and all my gear. I kind of construct everything.
Yeah.
And then I work with bands, and you got 4-piece, 5-piece bands, and everybody's got, their part that they bring to it. Maybe 2 main songwriters in a band usually. And then each guy kind of brings their interpretation to the demo. But when you're working with different producers, it's kind of a band situation where people are interpreting what you did and then bringing their kind of game to it. And then, then everybody has to kind of agree to that, have the right feel in the same way. So it's interesting to work that way, especially now, because of COVID. I would assume that's all remote that you did that. You had to do it. Did you do web meetings or just phone calls, or how did you do it?
So we did the initial production. We did a Zoom screen share, and Alex did the production whilst I was there, and we kind of spent a couple of hours getting the first draft down, and then I sent it over to Hattie, and I basically sent her loads of reference tracks and stuff, and just said this is the initial idea, can we make it sound consistent with Let's Go Back? And yeah, she just basically did her magic on it. And yeah, it just sounds, I really like the production on it. I think she, both of them did an amazing job.
How do you feel that doing this kind of remote kind of stuff? I mean, I've been in IT for years as a programmer, and I've had to work with people all over the world. And, I've been doing that before the pandemic, but a lot of musicians might not have been used to that. How does it feel compared to being physically with people? Are you starting to get a groove into it with all the work you're working on now?
I mean, I think it gives you more time to actually think of it being remote. So for example, I used to go up to Newcastle to record my vocals, but because I have to do it remotely, then I can actually spend time being more comfortable in my own environment and actually getting the best take that I want. So I found like that's a lot better. In regards to like production and stuff, like I've worked like face on with producers before, and I kind of enjoy like letting them do their thing. Like I know they're good at it. I like their sounds, kind of coming up with instead of me being too involved, because sometimes when I'm too involved, I'm like, oh, I don't like that, don't like, and sometimes it can just get a bit, you know.
Yeah,
So I kind
yeah.
of like that distance.
I think the distance is a thing that people forget. Like if you're kind of like in somebody's face, not to be like that's bad, but that pressure is there, whether you exert
Yeah.
it or not, because you're physically there. And then they're not going to feel as free maybe to do
Yeah, and
something
try some new ideas out.
because they might be scared. Like, well, if I try, to think it's kind of maybe not going to work, but I want to do it. You may be more reluctant to do that if you're there.
Yeah, exactly.
Some people might not be. Some people are like, I'm going to do it because that's what I think I should do. But yeah, I think it's interesting because like the one thing I've talked to, like drummers have had a hard time, like sometimes in this pandemic, like in rock bands or punk bands or grunge bands that kind of need to be a full unit to compose because that's what they're used to.
Yeah.
In the interviews I had with those type of bands, they've been very frustrated in how they do it because then they can't get the feel they want. Because they kind of work in the like the Allman Brothers, they work like the old school way of recording, and that has been a hard thing I think for people who do that type of recording.
Definitely.
It's been difficult. So this song, have you developed like social media, like video and other things for it?
Yeah, so I actually spent like a week learning how to use Final Cut Pro so I could do my own lyric video for it. Yeah,
cool.
So I just released the lyric video. I think it was last.
Oh, is it on YouTube?
It's on YouTube. Yeah.
Okay, I'll put the link to it on this podcast
cool.
so people can get to it. I can link to it. Yeah, because I think like doing video. I've been doing video for years. Like with the Ghost, I do a lot of visual stuff on Instagram. Do a lot of like psychedelic kind of Warhol like stuff I like to do. But I just like to put a lot of weird visuals that are kind of throwbacks to that kind of psychedelic kind of Pink Floyd.
Yeah.
I just think it's cool to have like visual media to go with your music, but I don't like to have it like fully interpret the song. I tend to just like to do something kind of abstract so then people can kind of pick whatever they want out of a song. So if you do a full video, do you try to do like a storyline video, or do you go with like an abstract kind of vision from a video producer? Like, have you dived into video? I don't think I talked about video.
Yeah, so with Let's Go Back, I made the video, and that was more of a story kind of video. So I did it like specifically to a storyline and stuff. But with my next release, I'm planning on doing like more of an abstract thing. So it's not too like a storyline. It's going to be more kind of visually like, so people decide themselves.
Yeah, cause I was talking to a songwriter a couple of days ago, and it's kind of like a kind of double-edged sword with video. Because like if you direct like your vision of the video, part of being a songwriter is, people can kind of imagine what your song is to them. And if you totally create a really set storyline, like it's West Side Story, some kind of romance or something, then it's real clear, And so it's part of the mystery, I think, of music is that kind of leaving it open. And so he's kind of, in some places, like some artists, like, I really know what this song's about and I want to kind of direct it. And other times you have a song where like, well, I rather let the audience kind of figure it out. I guess it kind of each song dictates how you
exactly. I think it's just like about letting the ideas kind of flow. Like if I for example, Twice, I was like, oh, I can't actually see a music video to Twice, so that's why I did a lyric video, because I was like, oh, it's quite cool. Like I designed the artwork and I was like, it's quite cool visually, like the artwork and stuff. It'd be cool to just like have like kind of like an animated artwork background with some lyrics. But like with my next single, I'm like, oh, I can imagine now like a really abstract, cool music video to it. So it's just kind of like depends on the song.
Yeah, it's just interesting now because Spotify has the ability to do these little short clips now. with your thing, and I've been taking advantage of it, and a lot of artists can take advantage of it. And it's then you have the reels on Instagram and YouTube. It's like there's a lot of visual stuff, and some of it's like very short, because and some of it's like like TikTok, you can do these little short things, and it's kind of a youth market, and so it's got to be kind of catchy and zany, and then sometimes that doesn't fit musician style. And so you're like, well, how am I going to fit into that TikTok world? Because I really don't do stuff like that. But then I think I got to try to get in there. And so you're challenged by each media to figure out, okay, what's the best way to approach that? Have you thought about like how to get into that TikTok world? It seems to be getting big.
It is.
Big.
I was quite like at first, like my main focus was Instagram, and then I've kind of like now like put together like a whole plan to do TikTok content and stuff. But I wouldn't like do it deliberately thinking, oh, this is going to be good on TikTok. It'd be more kind of like what's true to me, and just try content out and see what works and what doesn't, and just go from there.
Yeah, because it's funny. It's like when I first got onto TikTok, I had some young person come back and like, "Oh, you don't know how to do TikTok." That's what their first response is. Okay, I guess I got to look at what's out there. And I did what I normally do on Instagram and YouTube, and they're like, "That doesn't work." And I'm like, okay. It's like, all right, so I guess I gotta look at it. But it's like I mean, that was their opinion, but it's just it's interesting when you're out there trying to figure out how to create all these new ways of getting music to people. Because I know, like, when we talked before, that you have like a merch and you donate to charities with some of your merch, and a lot of musicians now, they have to do influence marketing. They got to do sync licensing.
There's so much.
So as an artist, how do you feel about like the way that you have to do a lot of things that aren't necessarily music to actually do, or somewhat related to your music, but it seems to to be able to be successful, you have to branch out into other things. Kind of like why I'm doing this podcast. It's not, I would normally like to just be producing, but I spend a lot of time podcasting because it kind of helps my brand, and so I put the time into it. But it's not music.
Yeah,
it's about music, but it's not what I normally do.
Yeah, I think like I kind of enjoy doing like marketing and the business side of things. So I just find it more of a challenge to kind of find ways of how I can expose my music out there. So I like enjoy creating content. I enjoy like, contacting Spotify playlist people. Just like, I enjoy doing all of it, which is good, as well as making music. So, yeah.
Well, I think it's part of being an artist today is you can't be like, oh, I want to be this pure, I just want to stay in the studio. I just want to go on the road, and I don't want to handle, I'm going to give that to an agent. I'm going to give that to a manager. And it's like, well, if you're going to be independent, some of that you have to take
But it's
on.
Nice.
And it depends on it depends if you like it. Like some people don't like that. They can't find a way to do it. They're not talented in that way. And so it's harder for them, and they got to get other people to do it. But if you feel comfortable doing it, you enjoy it, I think that's a bonus.
Yeah. Like I'm kind of like determined to do like most of my stuff myself. So like the artwork, the videos, like designing my merch, selling my merch, contacting blogs, Spotify playlist people. I enjoy it all.
That's the full vision for Effy Lowan. That's your full vision, is that you're a complete, independent entrepreneur, and you're like, this is your craft, this is your work, this is what you do. And, you build that kind of like, like the Eagles were famous for kind of building like Eagles Incorporated. They had their jet, they had their trucks, and they had a whole brand, and they had it all set in the 70s. They were like the top. They understood like, okay, how to market, like probably better than any American rock band like ever. That they totally had it down, and some people are like, well, that's corporate rock. And like, well, Eagles songs are good. You can say, well, that's corporate. It's like, not necessarily. Joe Walsh is not really a corporate guy. I mean, some of the stuff it's really good art. But, some people have this thing where something gets big and then they think, oh, it's sold out, or something has like some merchandising aspect. Like, you get like punk rockers and grunge rockers sometimes are like, when Sub Pop became popular, right? When Nirvana broke, a lot of people on Sub Pop, they're like, oh, I don't like it. I really don't. I don't want to be there. I mean, they like the ride, but once they get there, then they don't like the full journey. So it's kind of like, okay, it's like, are you going to embrace it or not embrace it? It's kind of like, every artist has a different approach, but it's interesting if people want fame and then they don't want fame, or they want part of it, all of it. So going into 2021, are you still just continuing on the process of like releasing singles, or are you going toward like a full album?
I'm gonna go for the single plan. I'm just gonna keep releasing singles until I get a bit more traction, and then hopefully gonna do like albums. But I'm also like looking to like collaborate with a lot more people as well.
Oh, so do you have some collaborations coming in 2021 early?
Hopefully, hopefully I do. So I've just been like finding other artists and working with a few other artists, like even like just getting in contact with other artists through Instagram and stuff. And so it's been quite nice.
In your same genre, or like, are you looking to work with like DJs and EDM and trance and hip hop, or other types of genres, or within your same genre?
most are within my same genre. Like most are like rappers and stuff, but I'm actually working as well with a dance DJ. I have like this song that I didn't know what to do with it because it didn't 100% sound like my artist stuff, and it's quite like, it's more kind of like pop. So I just like gave it to him, and I was like, do what you got, like with the dance kind of scene, and he really liked it.
Oh, so maybe like a remix and kind of make it.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's like a kind of a Rihanna type vibe to it. So it will definitely cool. Go quite well with like the dance scene. So he's working on it at the moment. So so I'm just exploring my options and seeing whatever flows really, and whatever's true to me. I'll just keep going.
So being home, have you dived more into like getting your home recording to a place where because we're kind of in this lockdown mode for a little bit, are you like increasing your capabilities? I've talked to a lot of bands where like, oh, I'm getting better mics, I'm getting better processing things for my vocal, or you're just dependent on who you send it to kind of do all that work, or are you doing some of it?
So I've like just recently moved house, so I'm like setting up a studio now, like in this new house, and it's got like the top floors just like the studio, which is really nice. So I haven't actually focused on recording or anything. I've been just kind of like planning, because I've got like pretty much most of the songs like underway, and like they're with the producer at the moment with the vocals. So I've just been doing marketing and more business stuff and social media content at the moment.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, there's a lot of that work you have to do. I spend a lot of time with this show, helping people in that, other than myself. But it's just interesting that a lot of people, or I was talking to a band that was actually setting up like cameras and video boards so they can do full performances from their own home. So they're putting up green screens and multiple cameras, video mixers, and getting it set up so they can actually do concerts that actually they could charge for. And there are venues that are setting up so people can actually perform if they've got a certain level of quality to their gear. You have to have a certain level of camera, certain level of mixing ability to have multiple camera angle shots, like if you do a half-hour performance, so it's not just like one angle. But so there's a lot of that kind of stuff going on. But are you looking to maybe do that at like performances online from like a venue that just has like no audience but just a performer, or do it from home, or a combination of stuff like that?
So I've actually got a screen that I'm creating part of the studio to be kind of like a video area. So I'm planning on kind of planning on getting onto Twitch. Actually, have you heard of Twitch? Yeah, I'm planning on doing some live streams there.
I actually Yeah, I go on Twitch all the time. I've actually got like a one camera set up now. I'm moving to like a rolling mixer that allows me to do like 3 cameras and a green screen. And then the cool thing about the mixer, it automatically will rotate through the cameras. So I can have a camera like with my fingers like pointing down at a keyboard so you can see my fingers on a board. And then I have one doing a long shot and then another doing another angle. And it will kind of rotate through those views kind of randomly. And when I do a performance and it's hooked up to my mixing board, so it'll run an audio right from my mixer into the live stream. And then it can overlay effects on the green screen too. So there's stuff I'm working on setting that up. Yeah, so you can do like a full performance and have like the visuals be like anything. You can put the background where you're in the Grand Canyon or something, like floating above it.
Oh wow.
You can do all kinds of crazy stuff. But you can do a lot of cool stuff. I'm a techie, so I'm into tech. But yeah, a lot of people don't realize like you could actually give the audience a pretty cool performance, and it doesn't cost as much as it used to.
Do you use OBS?
Get some of this gear. No, I'm actually totally using. I'm using Twitch, and I'm using all my hardware. I'm doing like Roland and Zoom hardware sequencers, and I just link it to like HDMI through my Roland mixer. The mixer allows you to do an HDMI signal and 1/4-inch lines from your mixer boards, right from your mixer. You get a good signal into the system, so it allows you to do that up to 4K. So you can pretty good video and pretty high definition audio to a certain degree. But yeah, it's just this stuff you can do. I have a lot of hardware, so a lot of my stuff comes directly out of my hardware mixers. Rather than going into my PC, everything's coming right into a line. But I mean, that's all technical. But what's cool about it is like, then you can actually get to your customer. I mean, get to your fan base and show them what you're doing.
Yes, exactly.
You know, and I think that's what a lot of people are doing. Right? People are going on just Instagram or Facebook Live and doing it, but there are things you can do a little bit more that I think going into if we're kind of stuck into the vaccines out there, we've got to find a way to get to our audience in a more dynamic way. I think the more we can do that.
I think like a lot of artists are doing that. They're kind of developing their online presence because, you know, like even some like people that aren't usually online, they're kind of thinking, right, now we have to think of other ways to do it.
Yeah, it was necessity, you know, causes you to come up with inventions. Because like if you just sit there waiting to be able to get back to the club, it's like you could lose your whole audience. You know, you got to figure a way to engage them. And I think it's just interesting online. I see people. You know, I saw a band who was like doing like cooking. You know, he did. He's okay. You know what? I'm gonna go and do like a cooking show of how I like cookies or something. It's like, okay, well, your fans like that kind of makes it real, you know? So you do what you can do. You say, okay, I'm going to bake cookies. I'm going to bake muffins. I'm going to show you how to do it. Like, yeah, well, what's wrong with that? You know, you just show a different side of yourself. You know, you can engage your fans.
I think like people enjoy that kind of content as well. Like actually not just the art side of things. They actually want to see you as a person as well.
Yeah, that's why I started getting into video podcasting, but sometimes the bandwidth issues. I've had issues. I do a lot of international, and then I had some bandwidth issues. I'm trying to get a better company to work with for that. But my goal last year was to get into a lot of video podcasting. I did maybe like 10 episodes, but it had issues with the quality not being where I wanted it to be. So the audio is where I'm right now, but we are going to merge into
that would
doing
be cool.
video. As soon as we get, probably when I get some of this other equipment fully set up, I'm probably going to do some video. But always been kind of dependent on like with the people you deal with, they got to have a good quality camera too. So it kind of suddenly limits how many people I can actually talk to because they have to have the same level.
Yeah.
So that's like this one's still a good choice. I can talk to more people.
Yeah.
But. You never know. You try to do what you can.
Exactly.
See where you can go. But so Twice is it's interesting. You know, it's a really cool song. I like the vibe on it. Are you still right? I guess every song you do comes from a different place. So So, like, can you kind of give us a hint of what the next song
Yeah,
is?
so the next one is actually like a little bit different to Twice and Let's Go Back. It's more chilled. But the next one is like I'm just excited for the next one. I just really like vibe with it. So hopefully people like it.
So is that coming within a month or two, or how soon is that coming?
It's being mastered at the moment. So it will be like within a month. I'll release that one.
Oh, so by January we should
Yes.
see the next song then. Is your goal to try to do like one song
One
every
song a
month?
month, that's my goal. Yeah, one song a month. Like I've got the next one lined up as well. So, I'm just like kind of planning on just doing one single every month and seeing where that takes me, and just like trying different marketing strategies. Yeah. Like I might even pitch the next one out for sync and stuff like that. So yeah.
Well, it's like Motown. That's what they used to do. I mean, they used to run songs like every month. Bands were pushing out songs all the time. If you look at what was happening, that's why it always seems like today it's kind of like the 50s in terms of a lot of content was like, you had bands putting out singles all the time. It wasn't really album focused.
Yeah.
It was single focused. And we seem to be in that kind of spot again. Though I have talked to a couple bands lately that EPs are kind of middle point between singles and albums. And a lot of bands are having success with EPs. And so, 4 or 5 song extended plays seem to be coming back.
Yeah,
that's cool. Kind of cool. Because I've always been album oriented. I think I talked about before. I grew up listening to vinyl, and I would into new hi-fi vinyl setups with like tubed amplifiers and crazy cartridges that like cost too much money. My wife yells at me. It's like, how can you spend that much money on a cartridge for a record player? But
there's something really cool about albums. It's just like the whole creativity of it, like just having something from start to finish, and just like there is so much, like I don't know, like if I did an album, I would just enjoy it so much. Just I can't wait until I do.
Yeah, the vinyl is kind of. Yeah, I've been looking into a way to do vinyl. They have some like crowdfunding vinyl companies that actually allow you to have your fan base actually sign up to support you, and then when you get to a certain number, then they actually go to print them, like in multiple printings. So you can have like little micro batches of like 100 to 1,000. And as soon as you get enough people to fund the project, then the first 100 go out, and then the next 1,000 go out, and then it keeps on going. And it's kind of cool because, vinyl, you're able to do the artwork, you can do the lyric sheet, you can have posters. And so like if you're into projects, it gives you this big project where you can have, the art is so much bigger on a vinyl. You can work with an artist and get a really cool idea out. And then you can have the lyric sheet, have art on it, It just ends up being a full experience that a lot of fans actually like, because nowadays you can get these hi-fi vinyl stereos with like I just went crazy getting these actual vacuum tube amplifiers, and it's kind of like having mode. Like if you go and get a vacuum tube amplifier for your records, your records sound like unbelievable. It has that kind of sound like the way a mini mode sounds. To me, it's got that kind of analog vibe, and is something about that. Especially if you listen to it sound like a Pink Floyd album or a Hendrix album, it's like, wow, that really sounds nice. But people seem to be into it, so I think I've always told people like that kind of merch, the vinyl, is a really good way to connect to your fans, and if you want to do bigger projects, it's more likely that they'll buy it. So, yeah, I think for progressive artists to have these big ideas and concept albums and stuff like that, that's kind of the whole way to go. And then you can actually have a win-win with your fans. So I'm very excited that you're going to be putting out singles like every month going to 2021. I'm in the same zone. I'm doing the same thing.
Nice.
So that's cool. I think a lot of people want that today. They want to get content from the artist that they are into, and I think that's cool to be able to not be restrained on just putting out one single a year or every 6 months. I think it's cool because then you get the full vision of an artist. You get to see where you are.
Yeah, it's all about the progress.
So it's great having you on the program again. We're going to push this out to all your fans, and we look forward to all your work coming out, and stay safe in this time.
Thank you for having me.
And we hope to talk to you again, because we talk to people all the time where they are. And if you have your next project and you want to push it,
definitely.
Let us know,
I'll be definitely up for coming on the show again.
Great. Effy Lowan, everybody check out the links. I'm going to put the YouTube video for the lyric video, and I'm going to put the links to your all your content that I can get to, like your Spotify link and maybe your artist link too. So thank you very much for being on the show.
Bye.
Bye. This is Fam Electric Ghost, and I think this is a informative message for those of us who are financially challenged and need help making decisions. So all potential home buyers looking for refinance options need a tool to aid them with navigating the financial wilderness of the mortgage industry. Now, Mortgage Calculator Info gives you a no pressure, no sales pressure opportunity to discover mortgage-related finance topics from the comfort of your laptop or your smartphone. So if you go out to https://www.mortgagecalculators.info, and we'll actually have that link available. Again, I'll say it, https://www.mortgagecalculators.info. There are multiple calculators. There's a monthly payment calculator, minimum income requirement calculator, home loan limit, and a DTI to figure out your front end and back end debt to income ratios. That's more complicated once you get into this. Now, even though I own a home, if I'm looking into a tool that I use personally, is the home loan limit calculator that allows me to see what it would take to trade up to a better home. So I think you should check out, www.mortgagecalculators.info, because magazines like Forbes and business channels like CNBC recommend that you take control of your finances. And the first step to get a better understanding of your mortgage knowledge with tools is going to a free site like this to be able to look at it on your own time. And then from there, if you want to go deeper into financial analysis, you could always get an investment advisor, but it's good to kind of get yourself versed on tools like this that don't cost any money, allow you to check out, without any pressure, and do some analysis on your own. So you're doing your homework before you go and make another decision. So it's the first step in that kind of path. So we encourage all of our PEG fans, musicians and artists and creators, we need to be smart about what we do for financing because we need to fund our projects. So being smart about your financial portfolio is a good idea, even though it might not be something that you're primarily interested in. And I think all of our fans could appreciate that as well. So thank you for listening to this little informative statement, and enjoy the rest of the program.